to part 2 of Kenya's premier sports video podcast, the 3 Quarters podcast. Guys, remember to jump onto the hashtag Road to Japan to support the Kenya Simbas. As you know, they're still looking to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2019 in Japan. I'm BMOTW.
And I'm Nash, your official noisemaker.
So we started off with the bad man from the Impala versus Nondi's game.
Yeah.
And you know how I really want to comment, but we'll go with yours since you watched the whole game.
Couple of guys. I think Moses Beggy had a very good game. We watched the first game of this season. Yeah. His first game at Nondi's, Black Blood versus Nondi's. I don't think it was a very good game for him. But it was an improvement when they came up against Impala. He was donning the number 15 jersey. Martin Juma. I have a liking for fly-halves who do their work well, because you see a fly-half in world rugby, fly-halves get all the attention because of the integral role of a fly-half. Yeah. But for me, I've always thought that the fly-half's work is to create chances for the rest of the team.
Yes, for the rest of the team. Yeah.
And I think Martin Juma does it very well. His tactical kicking was excellent. It's just that he was coming up against a guy who's very good in fielding. And that was my bad man of the week, Vincent Mose. His fielding was excellent at number 15. His defense was resolute at number 15. He was the one who ignited the attacks when the attacks needed to be ignited. Yep. And when you take into account that Mose is not, Mose is not young. Yep. Mose has been in the game for a minute, and he's still able to do some of these things. That's hands down. No one could measure up to what Vincent Mose did in match day 4 at our feature game of the week. So for me, my bad man of the week is Vincent Mose. All
right, well done to him.
Yep.
Now on to Rugby 101.
Yeah.
We're talking about bins. And that, yes. And if you end up in the bin, whichever bin you end up in rugby, it doesn't mean you're crap.
But it's also not good.
Well.
So there are the two common ones. There's the blood bin and there's the sin bin. So blood bin is basically, because of the physical nature of the game, you're bound to get an injury that's going to result in you bleeding. So what normally happens, the rules is that then you have to be substituted to go be either stitched or patched up or whatever needs to be done. Yep. And normally they'll have one of the reserves come in and fill in your spot. Once you've been patched up and the medical guys have certified that you're good to go, then you get back on the pins, on the pitch. So you'll normally hear that guy's out for a blood bin. That's what the blood bin is. The sin bin, also known as the sinner's chair, is when you commit an offense or an infringement that warrants a yellow card, then you're sent to what's called the sin bin. And it's basically the sinner's chair. There's a chair that's normally there where the match officials are. That's where you're sent to and you're told to sit there. In 15th, it's normally 10 minutes. In 7th, it's normally for 2 minutes. Yep. So it's normally a yellow card offense that results in what's called a sin bin. So you've been sent to the bin, or you've been binned, or you've gone to the sinner's chair. So those are the 2 bins that you're going to be discussing Rugby 101. And it's also good just to notify the viewers that this is going to be our last Rugby 101. 52 weeks in. So this is going to be our last session of Rugby 101. But they must stay tuned, to see what we have to offer next year.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Well, then there was the article by Raga House on what players earn in terms of a salary from the union. Yes. And they got a lot of blowback for that.
Yes.
Which, I felt was unwarranted. Guys are all like, hey, you can't say what people are getting. That's an agreement between an employer and an employee and all of that.
Yes.
What do you think about this?
Eric Njuru of Raga House is the one who wrote that article. Number one, I think in terms of journalism, he did what he was supposed to do. He snooped for a story, he got the information, and he published. Yeah. The people who are picking fights or mad at what Eric did should actually be picking it with the union, because the union is the employer and the players are the employees. So the contracts are between the two of them. But that's not an issue even for me. Look, we're in a semi-pro area, or somewhere in between pro and semi-pro. And in professional countries, we know how much people are earning. Yeah. Like I remember when before Dan Carter and Richie McCaw left New Zealand, they were on a salary of about $1 million New Zealand dollars a year. We know how much the NBA players earn. We know how much Wayne Rooney earns in England in the Premier League. So these are figures that are no longer private, because number one, you're a public figure. And like I was having a discussion with our producer at some point, and he was telling me that in the US 20 years ago, it was a big thing for baseball, because of baseball players being paid a lot. And people were making noise about the whole issue. But people came out and said, number one, you're public figures. Number two, we the fans are actually the ones who are paying you. And if you look at the scenario in Kenya, you look at, for example, who's the main sponsor of the union? It's SportPesa.
Yeah.
Where does SportPesa get their money from?
Yep.
It's from the fans, betting. So come on, we need to realize that we're moving into the pro era in sports, and such things are not going to be secrets anymore.
Yeah, and I'm just thinking, I don't know if this makes any sense to you, but in my opinion, if say I'd like to join the Kenya Sevens team, I'd like to know what I'll be getting.
True.
I'd like to know if I'm a tier 1 player, what I'll be getting.
Yes.
If I'm a tier 2 player or whatever, what I will be receiving from the union.
Yeah.
There's also the fact that if people are not performing, you're thinking, so why is he getting paid all day?
Exactly.
If he's not going to perform.
Yeah, that's true. But for me, guys are making noise about the money. For me, the biggest issue was, and I think we had a discussion with you off air, the disparity between the sevens and the 15th players. It's the most unfortunate thing. I think the union needs to do something about it. We need to change, and also, fine, I understand that the game is not fully professional in terms of the women.
Yeah.
Because even in New Zealand, I think it's only 5-6 players who are contracted, but still, look, these guys, the disparity is too huge, and you get, as a player, I would be feeling very bad.
I remember the first time I played Elgon Kapora, that I featured on the team, and we're at the union, and I'm seeing people getting money, and I'm asking, okay, so what's this money for? And they're like, oh, these are match allowances from last year.
Jesus Christ.
So you waited a whole year to get your allowance, and it's like 2-3 shillings. So, I sat down and I'm like, okay.
You do a cost-benefit analysis.
You're like, no, this is not quite, it's not quite working out. Yes. And then now you look at someone who's tier 1 on the men's team, and even if his doesn't come on time, he's okay.
He's okay, yeah. It's the most unfortunate thing, and that's what we're trying to do on Three Quarters Podcast. That's what we're trying to do at large. The narrative needs to change. You cannot have. And the corporates are the ones who need to be told this. The union needs to be pitching to the corporate sponsors that, number one, look, you need to be focusing on 15s. So men, women, 15s. Then 7s, right? So, I don't know. Yeah, we will. Our work is to keep singing it.
Yes.
And we'll do it.
Yep.
We only hope that somebody picks up the song.
Yep. Yeah. Learn the words anyway.
That's true.
So on to international rugby.
Yeah.
And we've got the additions to the Super Rugby teams.
Yes.
For the 2018 season.
Yeah.
Yes, please take us.
Yeah. So I'll just point at a couple of teams, 3 teams to be particular, the ones that have made some big moves. The Canterbury Crusaders, the defending champions, the 2017 champions. They've added a former Racing 92, a team, of course, that plays in France. They've added their former assistant coach, Ronan O'Gara, as one of the assistant coaches, and I think he's going to be in charge of the backs. For those people who've been watching rugby for a minute, Ronan O'Gara is a former Ireland fly half. He was a flyer for a very long time, played alongside the likes of Brian O'Driscoll. He's definitely in the top 10 point scorers, and he was a very decent flyer. He did the work of a flyer very well. So I think he adds some firepower to the Crusaders' backline. And he's going to be deputizing Scott Robertson, who's, of course, the head coach in the Crusaders, as they seek, of course, to defend their title. We have the Reds. The Reds have a new coach in Brad Thorne. Brad Thorne, for those again who've been watching rugby for a minute, he was a second row for Crusaders and the New Zealand All Blacks. Very gutsy player. Played late into his age. Played, I think, until he was 41 years.
Wow. Okay.
He won the World Cup in 2011 when he was about 36 years. He was a very tough player, very gutsy player, and I think he'll be able to pass that off to the Reds, because the Reds have been known. Since the glory days of the 2011 team that had the likes of Will Guinea and Quade Cooper, they've become very soft of late.
Yes.
So
then he's definitely a good addition.
Yes, he's going to be a good addition for the Reds, and I think he's a very good rugby mind. So I expect to see the Reds playing some good rugby this coming season. We have the Brumbies. Now, the biggest news about the ACT Brumbies is the return of David Pocock. David Pocock is an open side, is a back row actually. He's an open side flanker and number 8 for both Brumbies and Australia. What Pocock brings is he was the natural heir to Richie McCaw in terms of dominance at the breakdown. So he's going to bring some competition at the breakdown. He's going to get Brumbies more solid at the breakdown. He's a monster on the turnover balls. He's a monster in tackling. He's a decent ball carrier. So it's going to be an interesting season. I love, despite the fact that I don't support Australia rugby, I do love the way David Pocock plays. So it's going to be an interesting season, and I'm looking forward to it. And we can only wait and see how Super Rugby is going to be.
Yep, I can already see all my friends who are Super Rugby fans getting like super excited for this. But just before we go away, I think my question to everyone, you guys, our viewers, is what they think about that salary scheme.
Yes.
I really want to know what people think.
Yes.
And guys, remember, you can do this by liking our page on Facebook, following us on Instagram, and subscribing to our YouTube channel. I'm Demi Duffield.
And I'm Ngashi, official noisemaker.
Stay tuned for part 3.